Hello, and welcome to the Banker's Tech Talk video series. We are filming on location at Level 39, a FinTech accelerator in London. I'm Joy Macknight, Deputy and Technology Editor at The Banker. And I'm joined by Andy Campbell, Technical Advisor at Applied Blockchain, which builds real-world blockchain application solutions. Thanks for joining us today, Andy. So can you tell me the difference between a public blockchain and a private blockchain?
Yeah, sure. So the public blockchain is basically anyone can download a copy of the ledger. So someone can go home, open up their laptop, start downloading a copy of the ledger, run a full node. So the advantage of this is that it's very decentralized. So there's basically thousands of people validating every single transaction. The disadvantage of this is that one is slow speeds. So on the public Ethereum network, it was seeing very slow, sort of 13 transactions per second at the moment. And another one is that you need to hold cryptocurrency to basically submit transactions on this network to interact with it. So a private or consortium network means that one, you get much higher throughput. And two, you don't have to hold cryptocurrency. So basically your node runners are either stakeholders in the system, or you can just have a decentralized network of parties that don't have a vested interest in the system, perhaps. Basically any parties that just have no reason to collude, and a few of those parties. And because those parties are running on high performance server hardware, you're able to get a much higher throughput.
Okay, and a lot of people also talk about smart contracts. Can you explain those, and what is a smart contract app?
Yeah, sure. So on a traditional centralized application, you have a request come in to the application. You have a set of code which gets run through, and then that server will respond to the request. In a blockchain application, what you have is code deployed on the blockchain, so on this shared ledger. You have each party running the same copy of the code, and then you have everyone validating what everyone else is running. So what this allows you to do is do certain things that you wouldn't normally trust, like financial transactions and things. You can do this in a way which is visible to everyone. It's particularly good for holding values of assets and things like this, and transferring values of assets, because essentially you have every computer in the network validating what's happening.
Okay, and obviously blockchain is like a big buzzword within financial services, and you just said so yourself in terms of it has some good applications there. Where would you say, or where are you seeing the most interest within the financial services industry?
Yeah, so I think the financial services industry, yes, is an interesting one. It's interesting because you can verify the sources of assets, and you can trade in kind of a frictionless way, because you can have that asset registered on the blockchain and transfer its value from party to party, and everyone's verifying that, or everyone who's running a node is kind of verifying that transaction and the logic of that transaction. So yeah, it's interesting in the sense of trading. Also in KYC, you can have KYC done on one party, and that information is shared between others. But honestly, we see interest from all kinds of industries. So supply chain is really big, and that kind of feeds into creating value of an asset as well. But there's a large number of other industries as well which are interested.
So when you're talking to clients, how can they really tell whether blockchain is right for them? Yeah,
it's a good question. So what I look for is initially who are the parties involved, right? Because the reason that blockchain is kind of interesting is because you can disintermediate the trust, right? So if there's only one party, like often people may think that they want to use blockchain, but they're the only party, and they just want to kind of digitize or automate their internal process. But if there's, say, multiple parties that are competing, or they want to sort of share information, then that's what I would look for initially, saying, okay, is there an interest here? If there's there's multiple parties involving competitors or just multiple players in the same industry, in the same space, then that's when you start to think, okay, maybe there's an application here.
Okay. So I know Applied Blockchain recently opened an office in Porto, Portugal. What was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, so the first one's to expand out to continental Europe. The other ones are, we see a lot of kind of exciting things happening in Porto as a city, in the technology space. There's also, it's opening up to the availability of more developers as well, more talent basically. And the weather, I suppose.
Well, thank you so much for your insights, Andy.
No problem, thanks.